Hey everybody, I guess it's just me, but has anybody ever been embarrassed by their parents? Well, there's a reason for that. Children are vampires. We suck the life right out of our parents. And the only thing the parents can do in response is to embarrass us. They do it two ways. One is by breathing, and two is covertly or secretly. My father was a master. My father would say things like he didn't know what he was saying. So we're sitting at the breakfast table, my brother, sister, and I, and my mother. And my father traveled a lot. He looked up over his newspaper and looked at my sister for the first time, a 13-year-old, and said, "My God, Stell, when did you get those 2 shots out of the ballpark?" My sister covered herself and ran out of the room. My mother said, "What is wrong with you?" And my father said, What? People pay good money." So when I went away to college, my goal was not to let them embarrass me. I went to Penn State main campus. I said, I'm not gonna let Dad visit me or Mom. I get the phone call from my father. "Son, we want to take you to a football game." And I go, I don't go to games, Dad. It's a complete lie. Look, boring. He's like, "They seem pretty exciting." No, I don't go to the games. "Well, I'm coming this weekend. Your mother and I are coming to the game." I go, "Well, that's a mistake. It's going to be torrential rains this weekend." He goes, "Really? I hadn't heard that." "Oh, yeah, you shouldn't come." He goes, "Well, we're coming anyway. We'll meet you at the Nittany Lion Inn afterwards." I'm going, So now I got to give away my ticket. And it turns out to be this beautiful sunny day. Everybody's wearing short sleeves. And I meet my mother. She's in the middle of this restaurant. And I go sit down with her. And I go, "Where's Dad?" She goes, "Oh, he's getting something from the car." When he comes in, my father was 6'4", but he had this booming voice. He's like, Patrick, where are you? It was brutal." I look up. My father is wearing this yellow rain slicker, the hat, the whole thing down to his feet, like the Gordon's Fisherman or the guy from I Knew What You Did Last Summer, the murderer from that. He's wearing that with a 4-foot-tall Penn State umbrella, and he's walking around going, Where are you? It was brutal." And I'm saying to my mom, "Make him take it off. Make him take it off." And then I said something that's prophetic words. I go, "I will never, ever embarrass my kids the way he's embarrassing them now." And she gave me this like rueful nod. Cut ahead like 25 years now. I had a teenage daughter at the time. And my friend, she told me stories about her dad. You know, her dad comes down and asks her date, "What's your 5-year plan?" And she said to her dad, "We're in 9th grade." I said, I'm never going to be that guy. But I'm sitting there, and my daughter and my daughter discovered, like her aunt before, that suddenly she had breasts. The difference was, my daughter was determined for the free world to see them. So my wife and my daughter would have these screaming cleavage debates every morning before school. And they'd be yelling at it, and I'm like, and my daughter's talking about constitutional rights, the right to bear whatever. They're having these arguments, and I couldn't stand it. I'd go out to the car, and I'd sit in the car because I knew that when my daughter missed the school bus, which she did every day, my job was going to be drive her to school because my wife traveled for work. So I'm sitting in the car, my daughter comes out, and she comes out, and I just flip her a sweater. She goes, "What's this for?" I go, "No sweater, no ride." And she said something that haunts me to this day. She goes, "You're obsessed with my breasts." And I said, "Oh God, no." I said, "Look, men are pigs." And of course, this is 10 years ago, so we've come a long way, of course. Men are pigs. Look, they'll argue whether, Wilma Flintstone's better looking than Betty Rubble for hours. Just trust me. Just put the sweater on. And she's furious at me, and then I drive her to school, and it was Ruston High School, which is in Westchester. So they have the high school, then they have a parking lot right next to the high school where all the cool kids would hang out. And there was a lead cool kid like Mr. Haircut. He had all the kids sitting around his car, and then he'd wait till the last possible minute to go into the school, and then they'd all marching together. I couldn't drop her off at that parking lot. I had to drop her off at the parking lot below because she didn't want anybody to know she had a father. So I would drop her off there, and then I watched as she went up, and as she went along by Mr. Haircut, now the sweater's off. And she's just, and so I'm just furious. And I go, "That's it, I'm going to work late tomorrow." So the next day, they're having the argument. I get in the car. When my daughter comes out, she's like, "Where's your suit?" Because I just rolled out of bed. You're unshaven, your hair's a mess. "Where's your suit?" And I'm wearing a t-shirt like this one, which is totally inappropriate for an adult to wear. Pickle Rick. But anyway, I'm wearing a ridiculous T-shirt, and she's looking at me going, "What, you're not dressed?" No, I said, "No, I'm not going to work." And she said, "Why's the dog in the car?" And I said, "The dog's in the car because I'm going to give her a walk." And she said, "Why is she in the front seat?" And I go, "You know why she's in the front seat? Because our dog, Kaya, would eat seatbelts. She was a yellow lab. If she was left unattended, she snapped seatbelts, which are unbelievably expensive. And I would tell the kids, watch the dog, and they wouldn't, and she kept eating seatbelts. So now what I would do is drive, as they teach her driver ed, one hand on the wheel and other hand on the dog, driving. That's how I drove with Kaya. So I had Kaya. The other cool thing about Kaya was she loved people, so she had her head out the window and would bark at everybody. Like, "Arr!" So my daughter's in the back seat, like all angry at me. And then also, because I play music and I like to sing along with it because it really irritates my kids. And what really irritates, the particular type of music that particularly annoys them is when I sing reggae. It's Jimmy Cliff, and it would be Jimmy Cliff. I'd be singing like, "Reggae music gonna make you all right." And then there's a part where I go, "Truth," and that's the part I think that sets them over the edge. Truth. So anyway, I got the music blaring, I have the dog barking, and I'm pulling into the parking lot, and I ignore that lower parking lot. I pull right up to Mr. Haircut. And the windows down, dogs barking, the music playing, I'm singing the reggae. And my daughter's face, she's looking for a sweater, but there's no sweater in the car. She's looking and she's panicking. She hops out of the car and she's trying to go through, and I go, "Sammy, come back here. And she goes back, she comes back, "What?" And I go, no kiss. And she's like, "I will never embarrass my kids the way you embarrass me." And I gave her a rueful nod. I said, "Yeah." So here's my point. Oh, by the way, Sammy didn't miss the school bus anymore. My point is, some of you young people here someday will have kids. If you do, save those baby pictures because their prom dates will really be interested in them. Thank you.